starting an online business and building your brand, deciding all the crucial brand elements can take up quite some time. You have to think about your brand name, your brand voice, brand message, brand colors, and your logo, and you also have to consider if they're catchy, easy to remember, and also good representation of your brand. Let's take a look step by step at exactly how to start a brand for your online business, helping you figure out if you should go with a personal brand or a business brand, and how you can come up with all of these different brand elements for your online business. Before deciding the name or anything else for your online business, you need to figure out who you're talking to. First step is all about research. When you're considering starting a brand and embarking on your journey as an entrepreneur, it's crucial that you put in the time to specify your specific niche and your target audience. It can help you hone in on helping your target audience and narrowing down your products and services so you can be the expert for your target audience. You can check out this video right over here to figure out exactly how to find your niche and your target audience. Through your research, you can also find out what products or services other brands or companies are providing and how they're helping with the problem that you're trying to solve for your audience. Write these companies and brands down and take note of their brand name, their brand logo, their brand colors, brand message, and the products and services to help you better understand where you stand in the market. To help you understand your target audience and competitors in your area, you can check online forums like Reddit or Quora to research what people are passionately discussing about. You can use social media to see what people are talking about, what questions they might have, and who might be suggested to help them solve their problems. Have a look at what kind of tone is being used by your target audience, what's their age range, what's a common question that keeps coming up. This can help you build your brand and your brand presence. Now that you've done your research, before choosing your brand name and how you want to show up in front of your audience, you need to decide if you're going to be a personal brand or a business brand. Let's break down exactly what these two types of brands are all about and how to choose between having a personal brand or a business brand. A personal brand is built around you and usually means having your full name, your first name, your last name, or your nickname as the name of the brand. Having a personal brand means you being the face of your business, where you're the one that appears in front of your audience. Your personal brand can be built around your appearance, your personality and values, and your story. Some famous personal brands include Oprah Winfrey, Bruce Lee, Gary Vaynerchuk, Seth Godin, Guy Kawasaki, and Tim Ferriss. When you hear these names, you probably feel a certain way or think of what they have achieved. That's because they have built a strong brand around themselves and they constantly convey that same message through everything they do. A business brand is built around a certain identity that you have created for your business. It's not just about the CEO, the founder, the employees, but it's about the team. Your brand message is not just about what you do, but more about your business as a whole. When people think of a business brand, they usually think about the products or services, the brand logo, and overall brand image rather than the individual. Some famous business brands include Google, Nike, Apple, Facebook, Microsoft, and Coca-Cola. We know about these brands not just because of the product and services that they offer, but also the way they make you feel, the way they help you and serve you, and how they stand out from others. So how exactly do you choose between a personal brand or a business brand? It depends heavily on who you're talking to, what you're helping them with, and how you want to talk to them. You might decide to go with a personal brand because people tend to trust people more than a logo. Especially in the beginning stage of starting up your own brand, it's usually easier for you to start with a personal brand since you'll likely do a lot of networking and building relationships. A personal brand can give you the status of an expert in your field, and you could scale from there. You can start with a personal brand, and then as your business grows, you can then focus on branding your company instead, especially if you're no longer the only person working directly with your customers. A business brand can help you with building trust with your audience and could look more professional than a personal brand. Especially if you have a few people behind your brand, then having a business brand would make more sense. With business brand, people will likely know the company rather than the people that's running it. Have a look at other brands in your industry and see if they're portrayed as personal brands or business brands. In general, if you're providing a personal service like coaching, consultation, education, social media or advertising management, content creation, then you're likely to be talking to your audience directly, so you might want to go with a personal brand. If you're a business that sells software or applications, an agency with a few people, or if you sell products and have an e-commerce store or a brick and mortar store, then you might want to start with a business brand. Choosing whether to have a personal brand or a business brand doesn't have to be plain white or black. You can choose to have a hybridation or the combination of the two. It's possible to have your own personal brand and a business brand. For example, Facebook is a huge business brand. When people think of Facebook, they might think of the social media platform. You might also think of Mark Zuckerberg. He has built his own personal brand on top of his business brand. When you hear Apple, for example, you would likely think about the Apple logo, iPhones, and MacBooks. It's a business brand. Steve Jobs built this massive empire along with his co-founder Steve Wozniak, but we also know Steve Jobs because of his personal brand. Take into consideration all of these examples and tips to help you figure out whether or not you want to have a personal brand or a business brand. Remember that you can always adjust and evolve as your brand and company grow. Now that you have figured out if you want to show up in front of your audience as a personal brand or a business brand or a hibernation of both, it's time to figure out your brand name. Rather than trying to be smart, sometimes having a straightforward name can help people find you and trust you easier. Try to portray a positive message with your brand name. Your brand name can also describe what you do and the problem or the solutions that you provide. When coming up with your business brand name, consider these tips. What is it that your brand offers and how can you describe it in a few words? Try to see if these words can be used in your brand name. What adjectives can be used to describe your brand and how do you want to make your audience feel? Consider SEO when coming up with your brand name. In combination with descriptive words on what your brand offers, is it likely that people will search for that exact word or phrase to look for services that you provide? Make sure that your brand name is not taken or trademarked. You can easily check by searching the name on platforms like Google, LinkedIn, or other social media platforms. Let's have a look at a few different types of brand names to help give you some inspirations. There's the option of using personal name. Like I mentioned earlier, if you're focused on presenting yourself as a personal brand, offering service and products directly with your customers, then you might consider using your full name as the brand name. Even as a business brand, you can also use your personal name as your brand name. If you don't want to use your full name and want to add a twist, then you can consider using a nickname, your last name, or add something to your name. Some examples of using personal names are brands like Tiffany & Co., Walt Disney, Ben & Jerry's, and McDonald's. There's also the option of using multiple words. You can use multiple words in your brand name with subtle references related to your niche, your audience, and your brand. Try to abbreviate the words to make them even easier to remember. Some examples include Facebook, Bitcoin, ConvertKit, ActiveCampaign, and TripAdvisor. Then there's also the option of using descriptive name. To make sure your brand is SEO friendly, so people might accidentally stumble across your brand just by typing in the problem that they have or the solution they're looking for, you can have a descriptive name as your brand name. If you're selling a certain product, you can think about the names like the descriptive word and the product type. So some examples include Kylie Cosmetics and disruptive advertising. Some other brand name ideas are, for example, foreign words. You can use words of other languages. There's also misspelling, where you misspell a certain word that's related to your products or services. A good example of that is Lyft. You can also use made-up words where you get creative and mix different letters together to come up with a unique brand name. You can also use the name of real objects where you take an actual word or feeling that people are familiar with as your brand name. Some examples of that is Apple and Amazon. To give you more inspiration, you should check out these websites to help you determine how to come up with your brand name. There's namelicks.com and namesnack.com. I'll put those in the description box. I just want to jump in here real quick. If you're liking this video so far, I would really appreciate it if you would give it a thumbs up. And if you want to find out more about online business, make sure to subscribe and press the bell notification. Now let's talk about brand online presence. Not just your brand name, but it's also important for you to build your online presence so people can find you, follow you, connect with you, and hopefully become your customers. When thinking about building an online presence, having a website and social media channels are so crucial. Since more and more businesses are being taken online, the available domains and account names have also decreased. That's why when you're considering your brand name, it's also important to have a look at the availability of the domain and social media platform before finalizing on the name. You can use Namecheap to look for your domain. Namecheap offers popular and unique domains with SSL certificate, Coast Guard privacy protection, all at a low price. If the domain that you want is taken, they also offer alternative domains to help you check your options. Even if the exact domain is not available, don't be discouraged. You can play around with adding different elements to your account name or using different domain endings called Internet Top Level Domains, TLD. Besides the most common .com, there are a lot of others for you to choose from, like .co, .agency, .int, edu, all the ones that are based on your country or your city. Now let's talk about your brand voice. Your brand voice is so important to help you figure out how to appear in front of your audience, what kind of voice, personality, and tone you'll use to speak with your audience, and this can help you determine the way your audience is going to feel when they think about you. Finding the voice that you use to speak with your audience can make or break your brand. For example, if your brand sells high-end furniture to high-income households and your brand voice is very casual and informal, you might not be able to gain their trust and establish yourself as the go-to expert. Here are some examples of tones that you can use when you speak with your target audience. You can sound professional, formal, friendly, funny, authoritative, technical, conversational. When coming up with your brand voice, you should think about these questions. What values are most important to you, and how do you want to reflect that through your brand voice? What is your personality, and what tone, what voice you'd like to use to speak to your audience? What made you decide to start this business, and what makes you the expert in helping them in this field? What's your story, and why is it important to your audience? Have you experienced the same problems that your target audience have gone through? You can convey all of these in your brand message, which brings me to the next point. Your brand message is important to position yourself in front of your target audience. It's the message that you'll convey through all of your presence, through your website, your social media, copywriting, products, and services. It has to resonate with everything you do and throughout all of your brand. Most brands have their tagline or slogan to help them put their entire brand into a sentence or a phrase. This can help you let your target audience know exactly what it is that you're offering, the position that you take, and how you help to solve their problems. The phrase brand slogan and brand tagline can be used interchangeably, but there are some key differences between the two. Brand taglines tend to be more memorable, shorter, and catchier. They give the audience a glimpse about what the brand stands for. The brand tagline is more permanent, and it expresses what the brand is about and what the brand offers and who the brand helps. Brand slogans and brand taglines can be quite similar. Here are some examples. Nike has their brand tagline, which is "Just Do It," and they also have different slogans like "Dream Crazy" and "Find Your Greatness." McDonald's tagline is "I'm loving it," and Apple's tagline is "Think Different." You don't necessarily need a catchy brand slogan or a brand tagline, but having this statement can clearly show what you offer and highlight the benefits and where you stand, and it can go a long way in helping your target audience. You can even add this to your logo. Although your brand tagline or slogan is important, it is only part of your entire brand. Use the brand voice you've established and talk in that personality, tone, and voice throughout everything that you do and all of your online presence. Okay, let's talk about brand designs. We're at the fun part, coming up with the brand design elements. To help you remain consistent throughout all of your presence, you may need to decide on the brand colors and the brand font. Choosing your brand color can be simpler than you think. Think about your target audience. What would attract them? What kind of products or services are you selling? Is there a specific color scheme you like to go with? Have a look at the other brands in your market and see what kind of brand colors they're using. Use that as a reference when choosing your brand colors. You can either use similar colors or you can do something different to stand out. It all depends on your brand. Consider the color psychology and how each color makes your audience feel. For example, red makes people feel passion and excitement. Orange stands for playfulness. Yellow makes people feel happy. Green makes people think of stability. And purple is a sophisticated color. Choose 3 primary colors and you can choose 1 or 2 extra accent colors to use for your brand colors. There's an amazing tool called coolors.co. It's a free website that can help you mix and match and visualize different color templates to help you figure out what kind of colors you should use for your brand. I'll leave some more color inspirations in the description box. Choosing your brand font is another important part when it comes to deciding on your branding. Stick to one main font and possibly one more as a complementary font. Sometimes, rather than choosing something unique and different, it's better to stick to a font that people are used to. Psychologically, when you see a brand represented in a font that you've seen before and you're familiar with, you tend to trust the brand. Besides brand color and brand font, you might also need to consider other brand elements like certain brand images, shapes, graphics, or even mascot. Having similar graphics throughout your online presence can let your target audience recognize your brand. Here are some tips to help you optimize your brand design elements. Brand images that you choose should be consistent. Make sure the images have similar tone as your brand colors. Think about if you're mainly using rounded shapes and graphics or sharp lines. If you're offering different products, consider the shapes and stay consistent to that tone you're conveying through the graphics and shapes. I'll include a lot more examples in the blog post that I'm going to put in the description box. Now let's talk about brand logo. Now that you know all about what kind of brand you want to be, the voice, the message, the design elements, color, font, and name, it's time to create your brand logo. There are a lot of different ways to create your brand logo, and even if you're not a designer, you'll be happy to hear that you can easily create your brand logo for an affordable price or even for free. Before you create your brand logo, again, take into account everything you've figured out for your branding. There are mainly 3 types of logo. There is icon-based logo, which consists of a design. This can be a simple icon, a graphic, a drawing, or even an image. There are name-based logos, where the name is the logo. You can have the name as it is, or you can add an accent on a certain alphabet, a certain word, or play around with the shape, position, or the size. The third type is a mix of the two, where you can have the icon and the name inside the logo. This could mean having the icon above the name, on a certain part of the name, or other positions. Having a mix of both can be useful because then you can create different versions of your logo for different purposes. Now, you're probably wondering, how do I create a brand logo? You can use tools like Adobe Illustrator or Canva to create your logo. If you're a designer, then using Adobe Illustrator or platforms that you're familiar with would probably be the best option for you since you have full control over the design. If you want to work from a template, you can use Canva to get some inspiration and easily modify your logo. If you want more inspirations and potentially having your logo designed for you, check out Luca and Taylor Brands. After answering a few questions, they will generate a few logos for you based on your preferences. If you want a professional logo and even the branding and all the design elements done for you without you having to stress about it, then check out 99 Designs. 99 Designs makes it very easy for you to have as many options available for you to choose from as possible. All you have to do is fill out a short survey to let the 99 designers know what you're looking for. Then you're connected with the 99 Design community of designers and you can hire a designer or start a contest. A contest is where designers submit their ideas based on what you're looking for and you get to pick your favorite design. It is unique because you can truly choose the right designs for you and find the designers that would work well with you and your vision. Again, you can find the links to everything that I mentioned in this video in the description box. I hope now you have a better understanding on branding and how you can use it for your business. Stay true to branding throughout everything that you do. If someone were to find you in a casual and friendly tone on social media with bright colors, then come across your website with dark colors in a formal tone, they will likely not trust you. Consistency is key when building a successful, recognizable, and trustworthy brand. Take these tips into consideration and you'll be able to have your brand up and running in no time. You can find all of the resources, tips, and more examples in the blog that I'm going to link in the description box. Let me know your biggest takeaway and how you decide to brand your online business in the comment section down below. Thank you so much for being here with me today, and I'll see you in the next video.